Hey, it's Jose here, and I just wanted to let you know that if you have a message to share, I want to tell you about Anchor. It is free and it is an easy way to create a podcast for you to share that message. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Everything you need to make a podcast in one place. There are certain creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. And most importantly, you can get your message out to the world and impact the lives that you were created to impact. Download Anchor right now. My name is Jose Vargas, and I am on a mission to help you create breakthroughs in your personal and professional life so that you can grow and lead your life with excellence. Welcome everyone to the Jose Vargas Show. This is your host, Jose Vargas. Thank you so much for listening. This is episode 23. I can't believe it. It's been quite a journey. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting. If you, in some way, shape, or form, are being fed or influenced or encouraged by this podcast, if you can do me a favor and comment or like or rate or subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast from, I would greatly appreciate it. Reviews are really the thing that helps me rank higher on the podcast world or even on YouTube. Reviews and comments, that's what the algorithms read. So if you can do that for me, that I would really appreciate it. This part, we're going to be talking about leaders have to connect, and this is the third part. So if you haven't listened to the first and second part, make sure you go back and listen to episode 21 and 22, where I share personal stories on how I've been able to connect with people and apply these principles personally, and how other people have been able to connect with me and literally help shift and change my life because of their connection, okay? Another thing that I would like to do before we start diving into the content is I want to hear from you. The reason I record every week is because of you. I want to help you in your leadership. I want to help you strategize and create those breakthroughs that you need in order to get to that next level and be more effective in your life and in your leadership. So I want to hear from you. If you have questions for me, please email me at jose@reachinghighernow.com. And I also want to hear what part of the world or state you're living in. Okay, I want to hear from you. So make sure you email me, jose@reachinghighernow.com, and let me know what part of the world you're leading, what type of leader are you, or what type of impact you hope to make in the world. A few weeks ago, I was talking to another leader, and we were speaking on how when we were raised, we were taught that if we went into a room, we greeted the people that were already in the room. Common sense. But we also spoke about how some of that has shifted in today's culture. I've literally been in a room and where another individual will walk in past me, never nod, never smile, never even look at me, and literally they just walk by me and never say hi to me. In other words, I was invisible to them. That's not a great feeling. And I'm sure that you've probably had maybe at some level, this experience. Personally, I think it's rude. And personally, I think they need to learn ethics, right? Learn how to really connect with people. But anyways, maybe you can share with them this podcast. But most importantly, as a leader, we can't afford to be that type of person. If we want to influence people, we need to see people. And we need to allow them to know and understand that we truly see them, that they matter, okay? If that person who walks past me without greeting me or without acknowledging my presence, do you think that that person will have influence over my life? Absolutely not. I believe that if we're going to be leaders who really influence people in a positive way, it first has to start by acknowledging the person. That is in every single one of us, the desire of every single one of us, right? Our desire is to be seen, to be understood, to be heard.
And you and I as leaders have a tremendous opportunity and a tremendous responsibility to allow the people who we lead to feel heard, to feel seen, to feel validated in every single situation. Okay? In other words, we want to connect with those people. And over the last few weeks, we've been sharing these principles based out of Everyone Communicates, Few Connect, the book. I'll include the book in the show notes if you're interested in getting it. And by the way, if you get the book through the link, it's going to help support this podcast at no cost to you. All right. So the book is Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. I'll include it in the show notes if you're interested. But principle number four is connecting with people has to be based on common ground. Okay. Finding common ground with people can literally be difficult. Okay. It really can. And if you've ever tried to build relationships with people, you understand this because you do have to get out of your comfort zone. And getting out of your comfort zone is not always easy because you have to put your focus and your attention on the other person instead of yourself. It's no longer about you, it's about the other person. And it starts with number one, acknowledging the person. It's so easy to walk into a room, using my first example, and walk past the people that we don't really want to connect with. We don't really want to talk with because maybe we're just there for work, or maybe we're just there to network and we don't really want to network with that group of people. But let me just say this, how you treat an individual really shows a lot about you, about your character, about who you are inside. It really does. That you must look at people and acknowledge people not because you're going to get something from them, but because of who they are as humans. They're created in the image of God and they're loved by God. Therefore, you should love them as well. Whether you're going to be able to interact or want to be best friends with that person or not, it doesn't matter. Just seeing them and saying, hey, I see you. How are you? Good. Okay, good. You keep it moving. But if you're a leader, you have to go a step further. If you're a leader who wants to influence and impact people genuinely, you can't just walk past people and just ignore people like if they don't exist. Because if you're saying that you value people, but then when you walk in front of people and you don't value them, then your words are not matching with your actions. And actions speaks louder than words. Okay? So the first step in valuing people or connecting with people, I would say personally, is acknowledging the person. That is so simple. Acknowledge the person. Hey, how are you? Good. Second thing that you can do if you want to start connecting with people is ask open-ended questions. Okay? Don't ask yes or no questions. Ask open-ended questions. Because every single person in this world loves to talk about themselves. And when you ask open-ended questions, you're in essence telling this person that you're leading, hey, I'm interested in learning about you. I'm interested in learning about you, so I'm asking an open-ended question. Tell me about yourself. You're giving that person permission to speak about themselves. Therefore, if you just ask yes or no questions, the conversation is not going to go very long, okay? Or it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go deep. But if you want to have real connections and if you want to connect with people in order to influence them in a positive way, then you really need to ask open-ended questions. The third thing that you can do is to show them that you are interested in them as individuals. You're interested in them as individuals. I'm not just interested in you and what I can get from you. I'm interested in you because you are a human being. You are a person of value. You are a person who has dreams and hopes and ideas. You are a person who has a story. Okay? And again, connecting with people really boils down to you truly have to care for the people that you're trying to connect with. If you don't care, you're not going to acknowledge the person. You're not going to ask questions because guess what? You don't care. You don't really want to ask. You don't really want to know. But if you really want to connect with people, you have to those three things. Acknowledge the person, ask open-ended questions, and be interested in them as individuals. Find out what they value. Find out what they care about. Find out what they're inspired by. You'll be surprised when you begin to do this as a leader. People will be more receptive to you. People will be more willing to follow you because they understand that you truly care for them and not just what they can give to you. Okay? And then and only then will you have an opportunity to impact them or lead them in the direction that you want them to go. Again, you can lead by intimidation or you can lead by truly connecting with them. And I believe the best way to truly connect with the best way to lead people is to truly connect with them and that they will follow you willingly because they know that you care for them, that you see them, that you hear them, that you understand them. Okay? One of my favorite quotes is from John Maxwell. It's a quote that I literally live by because it's true. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I really believe that. I really believe that when you truly care for me and I can sense it, I can feel it, I'm going to care about you. I'm going to care about what you care about. I'm going to care about your vision. I'm going to care about your hopes and your dreams. But if you show me that you don't care, guess what? That's going to put a wall up of defense, a wall of protection, a wall up inside. And that is exactly what happens when we begin to lead people without first connecting with them. All right? They put walls up. They're guarded. They're guarded and they're wondering, what does this person want from me? What is this person, what are they trying to get from me? Because you haven't taken the time to really connect with them. And really connecting with people is truly finding out, what do they care about? What are their hopes? What are their dreams? Not to use it against them, but to inspire them and help them get to that place, okay? Once people know that you truly care about them, that you're there for them, and that they will open up and give you an opportunity to connect with them and lead them at a deeper level. So common ground is literally the point where our beliefs and their beliefs intersect, okay? Our beliefs, their beliefs intersect. That's common ground. We can connect with them here at this place so that we can then later take them where we want them to go. But if you don't connect, people are not going to go along with you. There's a saying that people won't go along if they can't get along. That is very true. In a documentary, I'm sure you probably watched it. If you like documentaries, you've watched The Last Dance. In this documentary, Dennis Rodman, who is portrayed as an outspoken, kind of wild basketball player, his coach, Phil Jackson, who I want to point out, who was white, saw his potential, Dennis Rodman's potential, and he seized the opportunity to connect with Rodman. And I was just observing this, and Rodman was a black man. Jackson, he shares a story in this documentary when he met Rodman, and they discovered, when he called him into his office, they discovered that they had a common interest and respect for the Native American culture. Jackson had Native American artifacts all over his office, which prompted Rodman to show his Native American necklace that he was wearing. Made a connection. They connected on common ground. So Jackson used his common ground to build a deeper bond with Rodman, and that bond became present on and off the field. Dennis Rodman said that he, meaning the coach, Phil Jackson, he don't look at me as a basketball player. He looks at me as a great friend. That's what he said. And that's the power that a leader can have when he or she chooses to be really attentive and look for ways to connect at a deeper level with another individual. So you can do this with the people that you're leading. You can do this with your coworkers. You can do this with your teammates. Begin to really connect with them so that you can influence them. If you want to make an impact in people's lives, you first have to connect with them. Then they'll go along with you. Then they'll listen to you. They'll be more receptive to what you have to say. And I believe that there's some assumptions. And in the book, there talks about 4 assumptions or 4 barriers to finding common ground. The first one is assumption. Assumption. We assume what people know, that we know what others know, feel, or want, right? We assume that we already know what others know, feel, or want. The second barrier is that we're arrogant. I don't need to know what others know, feel, or want. Arrogance. The third one is indifference. I don't care to know what others know, feel, or want. Makes no difference to me. Well, guess what? If you really want to connect with people and impact people, that can't be your attitude. That can't be my attitude. And number 4, control. I don't want others to know what I know, feel, or want. And you see that one a whole lot. Okay, so those are the 4 common barriers to finding common ground: assumption, arrogance, indifference, and control. Which one may be present in your own life and leadership? Only you know that. And whatever it is, begin to work on it today. Begin to really understand. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I don't know what people know, feel, and want. All right? Now, at this point, you're probably saying, whew, Jose, all this takes so much work, so much energy. And to that I respond, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Which brings us to our 5th principle. It takes energy to connect with people. There's always an investment necessary as a leader if you want to connect with your audience. But that's true of anything in life, really, isn't it? You have to sow if you expect to reap. You have to do the work if you expect to get the reward. Contrary to what our society is telling us. Contrary to what society really expects from us. The reality is if you don't sow seed, you're not going to get a harvest. Okay? And I'm going to share a story with you. It's a personal story. One day I was coming home and this week, literally, I was coming home wiped. I was tired day after day. And I was wondering why. And one day my wife and I, we started talking. And it was because we identified because all week I was making an intentional effort to connect with people that I got to work with. Learning people's background, asking open-ended questions, multiple questions. And genuinely, I really wanted to know. I wanted to know more about them. I wanted to know where they came from and how did they get to their place of success today, and literally practicing the art of listening and making the conversations about them and just being attentive to what they were saying and their stories. And let me tell you something. I learned so much. I learned so many powerful stories, so many things, so many stories of resilience and perseverance, so many stories of triumph, so many stories of how people conquered different things in their lives. And one in particular was a man who was raised in a communist country. And how that country was finally liberated. And I mean, and people came together and he lived through that in history. And he was showing me a video that was out on YouTube from that country the day that the people got together and they made it out of that communism. And it was such a powerful, powerful lesson for me. And I'm telling you, anytime that you begin to connect with people, you're always going to, even though at times it doesn't feel like it, you're always going to get more than what you give. Because you're listening to people's amazing stories. And I learned a lot about that. I learned about that particular person. And now how they were able to live through that and how they were able now to be doing what they were doing. And it was an amazing, amazing story. I connected with another man and he came from Africa and he served in our U.S. military. And now he has accomplished so much in his life. And all these stories, so many stories, were exciting and powerful and interesting. Again, they taught me so much. But connecting always requires energy. And I came home that week and I was tired and I was drained because it requires energy. It requires energy to ask people questions. It requires energy to be fully engaged and fully attentive and be fully present with that person and seeing them for who they really are. But leadership always requires energy too. And it requires you and I to go first, to lead a conversation, to begin the journey of connecting with the people in our lives. It's hard and it's difficult, but we can't lead any other way. Because again, going back to that quote, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And the only way that people are going to know that you truly, genuinely care for them is if you begin to really make an intentional effort to connect with them at a deeper level. And that takes a lot of energy. That takes a lot of intentionality. on your part as a leader. So whether you're trying to connect with one person, an audience of one, or an audience of 1,000, the principle still remains. Learning about the people that you're going to be speaking to, learning about the individual, asking questions. And always remember this: it takes time and it takes work. But together we can become a leader worth following. You don't have to remain stuck. You don't have to put up a front. But you can take actionable, practical steps to get breakthroughs and not just accept your life, but lead your life towards excellence and towards impact. Because isn't that what we want? We want to have impact in this world, and we want to impact the people in our lives. And it starts with connecting with them. Thank you for joining me today. Do me a favor. Would you take 1 minute and leave me a review wherever you are listening to this from? That's how we keep the message going and ranking online. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.